morning. I will now convene the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners for Tuesday, February 6, 2024. Good morning to our Administrator, Mr. Mokrahysky, and everyone here in Harris Hall joining us. We're glad you're here. First, let's check to see if there are any adjustments to the agenda this morning. Seeing none, any emergency business this morning?
No.
None, thank you. Well then, the fun part of these meetings is when we get to have employee recognition, which we do now and then. So we're going to start with that. So I ask for patience for those who came for public comment. We have some folks with us this morning from our Health and Human Services Division. So I want to recognize our Community Health Council folks. We have Dr. Richard Brunader with us this morning, Suzanne Roloff and Lisa Willis from Health and Human Services, and Community Health Council representatives either in the audience or online, Georgie Arden, Tara DeVee, Caitlin Hatteras, Jensina Hawkins, Emma Knight, Aaron Mantell, Howard Mitchell, Silver Mogart, Peter Petrocelli, and Rich Swanson. So welcome and thank you all. The Health Resources and Services Administration, or HRSA, offers national recognition to federally qualified health centers that make notable achievements in the areas of access, quality, health equity, health information technology, and COVID-19 public health emergency response. Of the more than 1,400 FQHCs, federally qualified health centers in the nation, only a handful are recognized, and fewer still are recognized for multiple categories. As an advocate and supporter for the work of our community health centers of Lane County, the CHCLCs, the work that they do in providing quality, patient-centered health care to nearly 30,000 Lane County community members, I'm proud that they were recognized by HRSA in the areas of access enhancement, advancing health information technology, patient-centered medical home, and as a health disparities reducer. Just a few reasons why the CHCLC was recognized by HRSA. In 2022, their patient population grew by 12%. This brought the count of patients served to over 26,000 individuals receiving services such as general medical care, pediatrics, chronic disease management, mental health services, integrated oral health, and more. The CHCLC increased positive health outcomes for patients served through accessible services, including the adoption and expansion of the CHCLC's capacity to provide telehealth services. They streamlined patient-provider communication, enabling more timely responses and reducing many barriers to healthcare access in our community. 200 Lane County staff members providing ongoing, oftentimes complex services to nearly 30,000 individuals is a feat in and of itself. But to do so while continually striving for excellence and achieving excellence in a way that garners federal recognition is especially noteworthy. Their focus on eliminating health disparities, especially for those who are economically and socially marginalized, by providing a level of health care typically reserved for private clinics, is a stabilizing force in our community, and we are all made better for it. So congratulations to the Community Health Centers of Lane County for this important recognition and their ongoing dedication to improve the lives of patients and support the health and wellness of our community. And I want to welcome Health and Human Services Director Eve Gray to the table with our administrator. See if you wanted to add any words.
Thank you so much. You did a fantastic job. And we are just so proud of the clinics that we run. And I am so proud of the leadership that we have brought in to run those clinics. Those of you who have been here for a long period of time have known that the community health centers have been through some bumps over time. And what we have done is brought in some stabilizing leaders in Suzanne, in Dr. Brunader, and in Lisa Willis, who is not here today, but is here in spirit. And really, with that emphasis on very high quality care and continuing to increase access as we are getting ready to open 2 more physical clinics in the community health centers. We are very proud that we can do both at the same time. So thank you.
Terrific. Thank you so much. I mean, I think all of us, I don't want to speak for all of us, but I think I will, that is one of the top issues that we hear about is people concerned about access to care, access to quality affordable care, and that's exactly what you're providing, and so it is much appreciated. Thank you so much, and congratulations. Right. We will move on through the agenda, and next on our agenda is our public comment. We will take speakers in the order in which they signed up. You'll be limited to 3 minutes per person. We will have a clock up on the wall here, so when I call your name you can come to the podium. Your 3 minutes will begin when you state your name for the record. And then we will move to anyone who has signed up online, after which I'll check back in the hall to see if there's anyone still wishing to speak. And of course, anyone is always welcome to, instead or in addition to speaking here in person or online, to send written comment to us. So today we have 5 folks signed up in Harris Hall, and we will start with Edward Chartrand, and he will be followed by Shiloh Landers. So Edward, if you would, welcome to the podium. Good morning, and state your name for the record, and the clock will begin.
My name is Edward Chartrand. I'm with Hope Rides again, and I want to say good morning and thank you for taking the time to hear me. Last Saturday was a rough day. A couple of weeks prior, I found a note on the front door of the church. They told me a friend had been found deceased in his tent and it appeared as though he was sleeping. I made a terrible assumption that this had been reported and that our friend's body had been taken care of. I was wrong. That Saturday, another of our homeless community came to me and reported the man's body was still there. Nearly 2 weeks it had been. Representatives of the family searching for answers were here as well. So we went out to the camp and found it was true. His body was still there. This broke my heart. I don't know when this picture will leave my mind. Another one, another human being dead in his camp with no one there. A family should never have to search for the body of their loved one on their own. The body of this man should have been reported. This was wrong on so many levels. I pray for our homeless, I pray for the family of this man, and I pray for those who are suffering in homelessness or addiction will realize there are many of us with our hand reaching back to help them find a path of recovery. Recovery is possible. We don't have to die hopeless, alone out in the woods. I want to thank Commissioner David Lovell and the Lane County Sheriff Department for all they did to support the situation on this difficult day. I am a recovering addict. I shot dope for over 40 years. The last 6 years, homeless on the streets. Today, I am a certified recovery mentor with 4 years, 3 months clean and sober, and my life is getting better. My story is this. I came to a point of desperation. I realized I was destroying my own life. I hurt everyone who cared about me, and I hurt everyone I cared about. Yet I was powerless to stop. I thank God I came to that realization because then when I turned to God, He removed the obsession to get high. Today, because I realize surrendering is what saved me, I surrender every day and ask God for the strength to stay clean and sober every single day and to help me be a better man. God took all that wreckage and turned it into tools to reach back and help others. He put purpose to all. This man that we found, like my brother and my father, and many other friends who have died homeless, hopeless, and addicted, I promise will not have died in vain. Losing them causes me to want even more to help anyone who reaches out find a path of recovery. Hope Rides Again is a nonprofit created to help bridge people off the streets. My hope is that the commissioners will consider helping me open a few houses to provide immediate support to homeless individuals who will reach out for help with the willingness to get help if needed and put down drugs. Each person can be assisted in connecting to resources that will lead to a path of recovery and self-sustained life. We need to realize the truth. Compassion without understanding the problem is enhancing the problem. We have got to put our focus on the solution. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your public comment. Next up is Shiloh Landers, who will be followed by Jennifer Ferez.
Hi, my name is Shiloh Landers, and I'm in recovery from methamphetamine and alcohol. My road to recovery has not been easy. Trying to find the help I needed was very discouraging. I was in a full meth-induced psychosis, suffering from auditory hallucinations that affected my perception of reality. I knew I needed help. I reached out to the local hospitals, 21 ER visits in 4 months. They would advise me to stop using drugs and send me on my way, back out into the world that was so scary. I felt defeated and alone. The hallucinations would tell me I was worthless, that I shouldn't be alive. I contemplated jumping off a bridge or stepping in front of a car. I was so frightened with my warped reality, I even went as far as calling the police for help. Cahoots was able to assist me in getting into Buckley Detox, but still I had to wait almost a week before getting admitted, just to have them discharge me after a day, due to the fact I was medically sicker than their faculty could accommodate. My recovery really began the day I met Ed Chartrand with Hope Rides Again. I was welcomed with open arms, introduced to others fighting the same battle. It was the first time I didn't feel alone. I was invited to church, Bible study, recovery meetings, offered resources to help me. I was given the opportunity to volunteer with feeding the homeless and organizing clothes for the clothing pantry. Having the support from the large family of recovering addicts helped me with all the hurdles that come from long-term substance abuse. I have my life back. Standing here today, I'm over 19 months clean and sober. I've completed drug and alcohol treatment, worked community service and road crew to pay off all my traffic violations, been issued a driver's license, and work a full-time job. I have even restored relationships with my family. Receiving this immediate help in a time of desperation from Hope Rides Again is what I needed to start my new life free of drugs. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. Next up is Jennifer Ferez, who will be followed by David Pokfidis, and please correct my pronunciation when you introduce yourself. Thank you. You may begin your public comment.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Ferez. That same Saturday that Ed ascended the muddy hillside in search of the body of his homeless brother, I was faced with another death in my town of Cottage Grove. I was running errands one day when I looked up and saw several red and blue flashing lights in the direction of Coiner Park. My heart sank, not only realizing that something bad was most likely going down, but that it could be a homeless neighbor. As I approached the edge of the park, my worst fear was confirmed. I saw first responders circled around the body of a man who was having CPR performed on his lifeless body. It broke my heart. I learned later that he had been discovered by a passerby leaning on a picnic table, and his lips were already blue. He was a young man who could have had so much life ahead of him. He was once somebody's precious baby. I am a licensed clinical social worker, in the town of Cottage Grove. I've worked with people on the edge of society my whole life. I have homeless friends on the streets of Cottage Grove and in the surrounding area. I've come to realize that the lack of appropriate resources can sometimes be a matter of life and death. We have no place for people to go when they begin to take steps towards recovery. We have no sober living houses in Cottage Grove where people can be surrounded by support as they begin the journey of early recovery. Lastly, we have little low-income housing where people can live surrounded by their recovery family as they take the next steps towards integrating back into the broader community. In 2021, 9.4% of the population in the state of Oregon was determined to have an illicit drug use disorder. This is off your own website. This makes Oregon the number one state in the country. In 2021, 89% of overdoses involved in opioid, 62% of overdoses involved in amphetamine. Governor Kotek has now signed 3 executive orders to address the state's housing and homeless crisis. If we do not address addiction as well as homelessness, this crisis will never be solved. I would like to encourage the commissioners to support the vision of Hope Rides Again and make it possible to bridge our most vulnerable in society out of the cycle of homelessness. What Ed is proposing not only will save lives, but it will make the best use of limited resources and save taxpayer money. It is very simple, but incredibly powerful, this intervention. It's not only realistic, but it is sustainable. And I'm pledging my support as a clinical social worker to help in any way needed. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. Next up is David Pokvidas, followed by Weston Halsted.
Morning, my name is David Pokvidas. My wife and I own 156 acres up on Walls Creek Road. We currently have timber, Christmas tree boughs, and cattle on the property, and also own a parcel on Parkway Road in Pleasant Hill that's under grass seed lease currently. We began our venture here in Oregon about 32 years ago. We bought our first 38-acre parcel up on Walls Creek Road while we lived in Chicago. And our dream was to build a home here. And dealing with some of the local people, I was told that I needed to have a forest management plan put together for me that would justify the ability to have a permit to build the home. I hired some land planners, didn't know what it was all about, but I got a book, real nice book when I was done. The book stated that I needed to live on the property to be able to better manage the forest. And the land planners went through the process of getting my approvals, and the permits started. Everything went fine. Moved out here and built a house. Everything was great. Over the decades, we continued to buy some other neighboring parcels that have come together, and we made decisions at the time, not being experts. Some parcels were under my name, some parcels were under my wife's name, some parcels were jointly. And I'm now 68 years old, and I'm having a hard time running the property on my own. My son would like to build a home on the property somewhere and help me. I have a nephew that would like to build a home on the property and to help me. When I purchased the land originally in 1991, it was zoned F240. My understanding was all this time that all I had to do is I could have a home every 40 acres. And went through the process about 2-3 years ago of hiring other land planners and attorneys of all kinds to try to help me in the process. And the more I dug into it, the more I spent, tens of thousands of dollars. It became abundantly clear, especially in the last 2 years, that I'm not allowed to build any more homes on the property. The latest issue is something that I don't understand, big game impact. I was told by all these same land planning people over and over again, we could solve some of these issues, but in the end, you're in an area that they will not allow you to build a home. And I'm frustrated. I'm angry, I spent a lot of money, and I'm asking, please, for the county commissioners and somebody to come up with a credible, understandable system to explain to me and to allow me to achieve my goals here and let my family live next to me. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. Next up is Weston Halsted. Give us just a minute to reset the clock, and then when you state your name, we'll start it over at 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Weston Halsted. I'm here to express my concerns regarding rural land use in Lane County. My concerns that the lack of property rights for rural Lane County residents were being eroded at an exponential pace, combined with the lengthy land use permit process, which requires specialized legal representation, as well as a private land planner to navigate the complicated and ever-changing requirements set by Lane County and the planning department, which I feel has been greatly influenced by special interest groups with a personal vendetta for any and all county residents that may attempt to utilize natural resources in impacted forest lands, such as building a single-family home on said impacted forest lands. I feel the special interest groups have an unreasonable agenda which seems to be focused on stopping any and all productive use of rural lands in Lane County. Lane County Planning Department seems to be favoring these groups and their unreasonable agendas. I would like to ask the board to implement the May 3rd, 2022 board agenda, which discussed a line-by-line audit of Lane County land use codes, which should be more in line with the state code and the need for housing in Lane County, rather than conforming to the agenda of special interest groups. So my personal story is I've been navigating these very difficult laws to build on my family's rural property. And 8 years ago, we were eligible for this. I was 80% of the way done with my land use application when this big game overlay came in effect. ultimately null and voiding the tens of thousands of dollars, time and resources that we had put into this difficult process. I ask that any and all land use applications for temporary dwellings submitted before the NIMKIsh LLC decision was implemented be grandfathered in. I don't understand why. My taxes are higher now because I've moved from large tract forest to small tract forest in good faith that I would be able to build on this property. Now my taxes are considerably higher, but my options for using this property are limited. I am myself, my family is more or less in the same boat as the Pokviduses, where my mother is aging. We have combined over 110 acres. The ice storm is devastating. The plan was to live there, help the family farm, steward that property, and with the way that the laws are, is virtually impossible. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. That's everyone we have signed up so far in Harris Hall. I'll now turn it over to Diana to see if there's anyone signed up who wishes to give public comment online.
Thank you, Chair Trieger. At this time, if you have signed up to give public testimony for this meeting, please raise your virtual hand and I will call on you and begin your public comment. Chair Trieger, I do see that we have one person signed up, but no hand going up, so I will return the meeting to you.
Thank you, Diana. Is there anyone else in Harris Hall wishing to give 3 minutes of public testimony this morning? Seeing none, I will close public comment and move us on in our agenda. Next item up is I'll turn it over to my colleagues for commissioner response to public comment or any other issues or remonstrance they wish to raise this morning. Commissioner Senega.
Yeah, I'll start off. There we go. Edward, Shiloh, Jennifer, thank you so much for coming. That's a very tough topic. I was kind of joking with you this morning, Ed, but the two most powerful public comments we've had yet both came from you, and that's no accident. Shiloh, great job on your recovery. We did a day serving at the Buckley Detox just to learn the program, and the amount of people that came in just begging for help because these drugs were so powerful was just absolutely mind-blowing. So it really puts it in perspective. Drugs are stronger, they're more powerful, they're more addictive, and we need to do what we can to try and combat that. We could go on for hours about that, but David and Weston, I hear you guys. We met with the How Man Group, I believe, was that earlier this week or last week, Mr. McCarthy. And they had the kickoff meeting. This sounded like it went great. Everybody's on board, and we need more housing in Oregon. It's been very clear by executive orders, and so we're going to do what we can to help that. So appreciate it. Thanks for coming. I do appreciate it.
Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'm going to echo those sentiments as well from Commissioner Senega. Ed, there's something that somebody spoke over me a long time. I'm going to speak over you today. Is that you've been through the hell, you've been through the bad, the good, the ugly, and you've been through the fire and you've walked it. All three of you have walked it, and I noticed that when you come to the podium, you don't smell like smoke. So good on you for recovering and doing the hard work and coming out of it alive, and we're glad to have you. And that was a tough Saturday for all of us, and I appreciate not only what you've done, what you're doing, and that you included us in it, and you made it more real for us as decision makers that I could now tell that story going forward. So I appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. And Dave and Weston, I'm on your page. We're fighting hard for you. We've got a lot of folks in your predicament. We're hearing some cases coming up in March. So for lack of better words, stay tuned. The process is working itself out, but as we say, government moves at the speed of frozen molasses. So hopefully we're going to put some heat on that for you. So appreciate you coming in and talking to us. Thank you.
Commissioner Buck.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate everybody coming out on a Tuesday morning. I know a lot of people work, and so your time coming to speak is important to us. We dove deep real quick this morning, and I appreciate all your thoughts. I just want to say I'm so very, very sorry that that happened, and we lost some valuable lives. We never want to see that. And we do work really hard to make sure that we provide as many services as we possibly can in order to make sure that that doesn't happen. It's also meaningful that you were there. But you're right, nobody should, A, be in that predicament in the first place, but B, leave this world alone. And I certainly thank you for doing what you could do in the moment at the time with the information that you had. I would love to be able to introduce you to Director Eve Gray at the end of your chair there, end of your chairs. You should connect with her because if there are ways in which the county can help, she would be the one in which to be able to channel that energy, and I appreciate what you do. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Farr.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. You brought a range of emotions to me that I'm not prepared to talk about at this point in time. You said a lot of powerful things. You act in very powerful ways, and you've demonstrated a need that we have in this community. I cannot begin to tell you how many people have come to me crying out for help and not been able to find detox or a place to get that help. Ed, you said, I came to a point of desperation. I realized I was destroying my own life and those around me. And Shiloh and Jennifer, you passed along similar encounters. Now, today, we have people who want help, can't find help. We have to put all boots on the ground. We have to find every single way that we can to give them the help that they're not getting today. My precious babies, you said this is somebody's precious baby. Every life we touch is somebody's precious baby. And if we keep that in our hearts, then it gives us the drive that we need to have to move forward with the things that you talk about today. It's got to be all boots on the ground. It's got to be government, it's got to be public, it's got to be private, it's got to be everybody providing the help that people are desperately needing and desperately reaching out for and unable to get, or if they get it, they get kicked out a day later because the medical facility that they're in is not capable of handling the entire range of the issues that are being put before them. Powerful today, amazing. I'm going to carry that a long time. Ms. Margaisky, on land use, I have a standard question that I ask often. Is Lane County, are Lane County regulations more restrictive than state regulations? We live in a state that originally because of Senate Bill 100, we have very strict rules as to how we use land inside and outside open growth boundaries. Very strict rules. And my question is, are we making them even stricter in Lane County than the tight rules that are already required by the state? I ask you that question quite often. Usually the answer is yes. And my response to that is why? And sometimes it's a very good reason. Sometimes because of local needs and local very specific geographic conditions, for instance, we do have to look at things a bit differently. But sometimes I wonder and I worry that we are providing more restrictive land use rules than the state requires, which are already really quite restrictive, more restrictive than any Western state, probably than any state in the Union regarding our valuable forest lands and our valuable lands outside the urban growth boundary. So this is just a kind of a telegraph that this question will come up often and it'll be repeated. Are we more restrictive than the necessary state and or higher government rules? And thanks for that. Thanks for listening to that, Mr. Mulcahy. You've heard me say it a lot of times. You'll hear me say it more often as we move forward with our internal discussion of how do we address land use, the state's land use laws in our own land use laws in Lane County. Thanks for your testimony today.
Thank you. Well, I will echo my colleagues' first appreciation to everyone who came out to speak this morning. And And also to Commissioner Buck for flagging, to make sure you folks know, our Director of Health and Human Services, because if what you're looking for is resources, technical assistance, other kinds of support, we do have various grant programs, partnership opportunities, and that's your path to exploring what those are. And then sometimes commissioners can get a little extra information or help sort of navigate that process for you, but that is a process that lives at the staff level, so I encourage you to make those connections and learn what's available to you and who else in the community is providing similar services that you might be able to partner up with if you haven't already. So thank you so much for coming. What I'm really struck by when I listen to the testimony of the first three folks who spoke is that's just one story, and we know there's many, many, many other stories like that out there. There are so many people for so many different reasons in our community who are suffering and struggling, and they all have friends and family either that they're currently connected to or estranged from. But it's the concentric circles of the harms that are caused by addiction and poverty in this community are far-reaching and deep. And so thank you for touching on as many points within that as you can. Appreciate that very much. To the comment, I can't remember which of you made about, the governor's made several executive orders on homelessness. She did, it's actually a note to myself, and thank you for reminding me to learn more about. She did recently do an executive order around the fentanyl crisis, specifically in the city of Portland, and standing up what we call an EOC, an Emergency Operations Center, which is what we do here as part of our emergency response. And it's really just a mechanism and a central gathering place for all the resources and information to be gathered and then deployed out to make sure we're getting the most resources in a coordinated fashion, not doubling up in some areas and leaving some areas behind. So that was a model I had never heard of or thought about using the EOC model for something like an addiction crisis, specifically in this case fentanyl in the city of Portland. So thanks for reminding me that I wanted to dig a little more into that and learn what that could look like and whether that's something we want to look at here. And then finally, what I'll say this morning is to just mention that we are 6 days into February, which is Black History Month, and remind us all that Black history is American history and it's all of our history, and to encourage everyone to learn what you can about the contributions of the past and present day of Black folks here in our community and in this great country. Thank you, everyone. We will move on to our consent calendar. This is a list of items that are considered routine business by the board, and all the items come with materials which are available online to anyone who wants to learn more about those items. And with that, I will look for a motion for the consent calendar.
Yes, Chair, I move approval and acceptance of the consent calendar for February 6, 2024.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Vice Chair Lovell, seconded by Commissioner Buck to approve today's consent calendar. All those in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to item 7, Health and Human Services, and we'll welcome Director Gray back to the table as soon as she's done doing what we all asked to have done and connect with these great folks in the audience. Welcome and good morning, Director Gray. We are here to learn more about Order 24-02-0606 in the matter of approving one contract with 3 amendments and delegating authority to the county administrator or their designee to sign the approved actions.
Yes, so this is a fairly routine item. Has one new revenue contract from the Oregon Health Authority for mental health related dollars. Otherwise, 2 other revenue contracts and 1 expense contract for the Navigation Center, which are extensions.
Great. Are there any questions for Director Gray?
I have thousands.
My only question, since you mentioned the Navigation Center, I think, is this something Kate Budd will roll into maybe her next report, just an update on how things are going out there and service numbers and so on?
I can ask her to do that. Probably not the February presentation, which will be more on the budget side, but the next regular update, I can ask her to do that.
Excellent, thank you. Then, seeing no questions for Director Gray, I would entertain a motion.
Chair, I'd like to move to approve order number 24-02-06-06 in the matter of approving one contract, 3 amendments, and delegating authority to the county administrator or their designees to sign the approved actions.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Vice Chair Lovell, seconded by Commissioner Buck. Any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Passage of Order 24-02-06-06 in the matter of approving one contract, 3 amendments, and delegating authority to the county administrator or their designee to sign the approved actions. Thank you. Next on our agenda, item 8 is a human resources item. I'll welcome staff to the table. This is Order 24-02-06-07 in the matter of approving the establishment of a paid leave Oregon equivalent plan with a third-party administrator, being the standard, and delegation of authority to the county administrator to execute a 1-year agreement with the potential for 3 one-year extensions. And good morning. Pull some extra chairs up. I'll welcome our Human Resources Director, Alana Holmes, and she can introduce her panel with us today. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Excuse us as we get a little settled with the group that you had requested return today. So again, my name is Lana Holmes, Human Resources Director. With me at the table, Inga Wood, our Labor Relations Manager, Christine Moody. I want to just, the budget guru of Lane County, and James Trujillo, who is our Workforce Wellness Manager, and Andrew Nagels, our Deputy County Counsel. And then, just in case you have other specific questions, Sherry Sanders, who is our Senior Leaves Analyst, especially a lot of work in this program is available if needed. So, again, we're here today at your request as a follow-up to a meeting. It seems like it was a week ago, but I guess 2 weeks ago. And with more information and with a recommended motion. So we've got a few minutes to do a high-level kind of presentation, and then we will turn it over to you all for any discussion or questions that you have. So James, do you want to get started?
Sure. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. So we are here to provide you with a recommendation to move to a fully insured consolidated leave program with the standard insurance. I'm sorry, where are the slides?
You're on the other.
I can share the slides for you if you'd like.
Yes, please do. Thank you.
Mr. Trujillo, do you want to just pull the mic a little closer to you, just so when you look down or up at the slides, we can still hear you? Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, next slide, please. So the last time we met with you, you had a number of questions that you had for our staff group regarding this potential change. And we tried to summarize these questions and provide you with answers. So one of the questions was, how will transitioning to the standard add value for the county employees and staff administration? So we did want to make clear that we do believe it's going to enhance customer service significantly for employees. It will be a streamlined one contact for all leave administration for employees and for the administration of leaves for the county. It will result in on-time approvals and payments wherever the administrator has full information. It will also result in an improved partnership and ability to problem-solve employee issues when they come up, which is something we do not have with the state program currently. We also believe it will enhance our influence on legislative matters and regulatory matters in this regard. We did confirm with the standard that they do have a direct line to Paid Leave Oregon, which is something we do not have as an employee sponsor, and they are part of various committees that help shape the administration at the legislative level. Another question that we received is, can the county offer a greater benefit through an equivalent plan? The answer to that is no, that it is the same plan that is offered. It is an equivalent plan, but I will note that the standard was approved to the first equivalent plan approved in the state of Oregon, and we are prepared to execute on that plan. Another question that was asked is, what are the standards investment principles for insurance portfolios? Those of you that are familiar with insurance programs know that they do invest premiums. We did confirm with the standard that they do incorporate an analysis of environmental and social and governance factors into their investment portfolio. We were not able to get more specific than that, but having those sorts of environmental considerations as they invest is important to a number of individuals. Next slide, please. So our recommendation again is that we consolidate all leave administration with the standard and implement a fully insured paid leave benefit with tax administration beginning April 1st of 2024. Some of the benefits of this in our view is that a fully insured plan mitigates the risk of high utilization of leaves and gives the county time to build a credible claim rate to understand how leaves will be utilized across the county. We believe that this option will eliminate nearly all management and administrative costs that we are currently spending after we implement, and it will reduce the ongoing needs significantly within the county. We also believe this will improve the employee experience significantly by supporting our workforce as they navigate paid leave programs. The administration for human resources and finance payroll will be reduced significantly and eliminate rework as a result of delays with the current model with the state. And also wanted to note that this is an administrative change that does not impact the bargained employee contracts. Next slide, please. So regarding the financial impact of this move, the standard in their bid estimated about a $1.3 million premium cost. However, this is a fully insured plan, to be clear, so that cost will vary from month to month. It is based upon the number of eligible employees that are part of our payroll. So the rate is a guaranteed rate of 1.15 for a 9-month term starting in April and going through the end of December of this year. So to give you an example of what that would look like, so if we had $1 million in payroll eligible employees, there would be 15% that would be charged for the administration of this, so another $150,000 for the administration of this program. So that, again, that includes the administration of all of our leaves that we have, the tax administration piece, and also provides them with some cushion because they are anticipating that as a high utilizer of leaves, that it gives them some opportunity to stay flat with their business model. Next, I'll invite our budget manager, Christine Moody, to talk about the how we would fund that for the program.
Thank you, James, Chair and Commissioners. So as we discussed 2 weeks ago when we were here, the county maintains benefits for several of our payments that we make, mainly around the PERS benefit. And so we have the ability to smooth our benefits internally. So that's why we have the comment that there won't be an impact to department budgets. We will watch the cash flow of this and adjust as needed within our existing rates. And so there won't be any departmental impact. Now, as noted, yes, this is an increase over the 1% that's paid to the state. But again, we're hoping with the experience, seeing what this looks like over a year, then we will look at other options and come back to the board with some additional financial information.
Okay, next slide, please. We did want to make the board aware of some other impacts that we're anticipating. First of all, which is good news, is there's no additional cost to employees. The rate charged for employee contribution remains flat. Also wanted to note that there are some administrative rules that are being worked on in the Paid Leave Oregon program. They're still determining transition norms. The industry norm for leave transition is that the organization that is holding the leaves or is managing the leaves currently will hold on to those leaves until they run out, and then they transition to the new organization. That is the norm. The state of Oregon, as far as we can tell, is maybe one of the few states at this point that has not completely worked through those rules. So it's not clear to us at this point whether or not the standard would have to take over the leaves right on April 1st that are currently in place, or if they would remain with the state. Our position would be that we would want them to remain with the state until those leaves have run out.
Just clarifying, you mean any claims that are currently in process?
Correct. So anyone who is currently on leave during the transition the standard is that normally that, or the norm, I should say, not to confuse it. The norm is that the organization that is managing those leaves holds on to that leave and manages it until it is done. So all of those claims. Right now, that hasn't been worked out with the state of Oregon. So it may be that by the time we get to April 1st, that is worked out and they do hold on to them, or the standard might have to assume all of those leaves, and those employees, unfortunately, would have to reapply and get leaves through the standard.
Thank you for that. The reapply is important. And then is the piece also that the pooled fund is held with the state of Oregon, and that's where their benefits are being paid out of, their wage replacement?
It's our understanding that that pool will remain with the state. So, but again, this is uncertain at this point. Our hope is that it will be like every other state, which is that the state would hold on to the leave and pay for it through the end of that leave past the transition.
Thank you.
Sure. The other piece we wanted to make you aware of is that we believe there may be, it says requires, but to be clear, the transition may require that we offer a fresh bank of leaves for eligible employees. We know that there's around 116 employees that this may impact, where they may be we may be required to offer a fresh bank of leaves. I say may at this point because there's some legal question about this that our deputy counsel can answer, I'm sure, if you have questions about that. But we're not clear about whether it's required or not at this point. Next slide. So next steps with this process, if the board chooses to approve this recommended staff action, is that we would execute a contract with the standard. We would apply for an equivalent plan that is already in place through the standard, and that would all be done in the month of February. The month of March would be devoted towards employee communications and information sharing with managers and employees. It will be a relatively low lift because most employees are familiar with the standard. They have to work with the standard already. So we're not anticipating a tremendous amount of work there. And we would go live with the standard and the equivalent plan as of April 1st of this year. Next slide. And that is our presentation for you today. If you have any questions or discussion, we're available.
Great. To the board, any questions for staff? Commissioner Farr.
Thank you, Mr. Trujillo, for this kind of arduous path that we've gotten to that brought us to this point. I have a couple of questions. My memory is not always crystal clear. When we first discussed paid leave, Oregon, and we made the decision as a board of directors to use the state for the administration of the program, was it standard that was presented at that point in time also?
Yes, it was.
And has that plan changed with standard between then and now, or have they refined it in any ways?
As far as I know, the plan is the same. It's the same equivalent plan. They did freeze their bid for us. This is the same offer that they made for us initially.
That latter was my next question, so you anticipated my next question. That being said, we're essentially going back in time and deciding to, because of our experience, that there was no way to foresee exactly what the experience would be with the state. We're going back and removing and stepping back to the standard. So it's really this discussion's already been had at one point, and we're just redeciding, I guess is the right term. Well, I'm in favor of it, but one thing that troubles me a little bit, doesn't trouble me, but the question regarding the fresh bank of benefits for staff. Most important to me is that staff doesn't notice a change. That other than perhaps more responsive administration. I guess you're sure your heads, everybody's not in their heads, so there's an assurance of that. Then my other question is, in your last presentation, when we're sitting down there, you said that in a conversation, I believe it was you that you had with the state, and they informed you that you have no influence, was what I wrote down, over the administration of the plan. Can I presume that with the new plan, you will have influence?
We will definitely have influence with the standard. In fact, we meet with them on a weekly basis right now. If any issues come up, we're able to directly influence what's happening with the plan and make sure that we're able to resolve those problems as soon as possible.
So anyone accessing paid leave Oregon will see a difference, and the difference will be a more responsive administration.
Absolutely.
Good, that's what I'm writing down. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Seneca.
Thank you. I mean, this sounds great, great presentation. I just wrote down a couple of things as well. I mean, an enhanced influence with legislation. I mean, that's one of the things we're looking for. And the biggest one was, it was just simple, but it was improve employee experience. I mean, that's the whole point of this. That's the whole point of the PLO. So I think we're on the right track, and sometimes it takes a turn to get there. And you mentioned 116 people that are currently on PLO.
They're not currently on PLO, but they may have used PLO at some point during the period, and so they would be eligible for another fresh bank. We believe may be the case.
Gotcha. So, yeah, okay, so I see the problems with that. So my other question was, how many employees will this transition possibly affect? Do we have that number?
Well, it would impact all employees who are seeking any kind of leave. So, but the administration would go down significantly. Right now, they have to contact the state and they have to contact the standard in order to engage in leaves. So with this change, they would only need to contact the standard and everything would be clarified through them.
We kind of call that one-stop shopping, right? So that there's one place, everyone's familiar with it, there's no confusion, and then on our end, there's one place we can access, we can immediately call into question if an employee has called us to say, I'm going out on surgery and I don't have everything, I haven't heard back. James, Sherry can immediately connect with the standard and work through that, just like we do with other types of leaves that are administered through the standard now.
Right. So, I mean, just, it'll alleviate a lot of that anxiety of the unknown that we're currently dealing with. Got it. Thank you. I see you back there nodding your head, Sherry.
Commissioner Farr again.
I am ready for a motion. When that time, but I do have another question which I would address to the motion, but I can ask that question now.
Well, I'm going to just, because I can't not make, I'm going to comment. First, I want to very much appreciate staff for their thoroughness and their patience and their willingness to work through this with us. And just to state my frustration and disappointment, which has nothing to do with anyone in this organization, that the state wasn't able to roll the program out more efficiently and effectively, because, again, as someone who could have greatly benefited from this many, many years ago and over the decades, and as someone who advocated and worked hard to pass this bill, you mentioned all the other states do it one way versus how Oregon's doing. All those other states is, I think, 10. Not that many. All the other countries is literally all of them, except I think 6 on the planet, the U.S. being one. We have a real problem with not having universal paid leave, and my frustration is that now we have to be part of developing a paid leave or participating in a paid leave program that isn't a public universal benefit, and that's a problem. So I just have a personal frustration, again, none of it about our organization or our staff. Everyone deserves this, and it really does need to be universal and national. So my hope is that we can take our experience and maybe incorporate it into some of our legislative advocacy in the coming years to improve the state program and talk about the ways in which it could be made better, not just administratively, but the benefit itself, like that full day rather than for intermittent leave requiring a full day. I'm sorry that we don't have the leeway to do better, that the state didn't set a floor but allow others to do better the way we do with a lot of other employee-related laws. So again, just my great appreciation for your patience and your thoroughness and your diligence in bringing us the best possible solution to what really is a broken and inadequate system. I very much appreciate that. And now I am prepared for a motion. Commissioner Farr, if you'd still like to make one.
Thank you, Chair Trieger. But before I do, I'd like to acknowledge your personal involvement long more than this last year in paid leave. This is something you've been advocating for, Chair, for, gosh, at least 3 years. 10 years, okay. I stand corrected. So, and thank you for bringing us to this point and for being able to voice your frustration regarding your vision for paid leave, and that what we're doing right now is a wonderful step. It really is, and employees will notice a difference. So with that, I would like to move Order 24020607 in the matter of approving the establishment of a paid leave Oregon equivalent plan with the third-party administrator, the standard, and delegation of authority to the county administrator to execute a one-year agreement with potential for 3 one-year extensions.
I'd second that.
It's been moved by Commissioner Farr, seconded by Vice Chair Lovall, approval of Order 24-02-06-07. Any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Passage of Order 24-02-06-07 in the matter of approving the establishment of a paid leave Oregon equivalent plan with a third-party administrator, the standard, and delegation of authority to the county administrator to execute a one-year agreement with the potential for 3 one-year extensions. Thank you so much, staff, for your work leading up to today and for being here this morning. Thank you. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you very much.
Chair, Commissioners, thank you so much for your time.
We'll welcome our administrator back to the table and move on to item 9, which is county administration. Any announcements from the administrator this morning?
I don't have any today, unless you have questions for me.
Anything for the administrator this morning? None. And we have no need for executive session this morning. And I'll just confirm while we have a moment that there is also, as far as we know, none this afternoon as well. And so with that, is there any other business for this speedy morning?
Doing great, Chair.
Great, then we have a bit of extra time. I will adjourn us into recess until 1:30 p.m. when we will have a public hearing on ordinance 24-01. We are recessed until 1:30.
Risa argentina, alegrías, y en tu boca el dulzor de las mieles. Mi princesa, yo te quiero, quiéreme, porque me muero. Princesita, la de ojos azules y labios de grana. Mariposa, mariposa de lindos colores, florecilla de alegre mañana. Thank you.